Now let us deep dive into the supplier function interface, and we will be deep diving into the supply interface in the context of our school system that we are building. So first let us see where it comes from. Supply is a part of the Java standard function interfaces. So it is the part of Java standard function interfaces, and it was introduced in Java 8. So what is it designed for? It is designed for producing data without taking any input. So it doesn't take any input, but it produces data. So what is supplier? The supplier is a function that takes no input and returns a value. So it doesn't take any input, but it returns a value. So supplier of t. So here it returns a value of type t. No input, but it returns output. So the core method available inside the supplier function interface is t get. So here t is the return value. If you see this get method, it doesn't take anything, but it returns the value of type t. So let us see the example in our school context. Here supplier of student, variable name is student supplier, and it doesn't take anything. If you see on the right hand side, it doesn't take anything, followed by lambda operator, and it returns the object of student with student name Ravi and marks 85. So on top of this object, we are applying get method. So it finally returns student object. Student s is equal to student supplier dot get. It is thinking like that. Give me an object when I asked for. And supplier is used when you want to generate or provide data. So it is used when you want to generate or provide data on demand. So let us see the necessity why it exists. We often use in our modular monolith application that we have been building for default objects and lazy initialization and expensive object creation and testing data generation. So without supplier, even if not needed, we should create like this: student s is equal to new student Ravi and 85. So with supplier, we should be creating only when needed, like this. So creation is deferred actually. Lazy initialization and better performance control, and we have cleaner design. So let us see the perspective in the perspective of functional programming. Supplier is a data provider, meaning what does that mean? It doesn't take any input, no input required, and it produces the value on demand. On demand, value is produced, and for lazy pipeline, it is useful. It is useful in the cases of lazy pipelines. Now let us see the passing the supplier. We have method create student that returns student, and it takes supplier of type supply student and supply dot get. It returns supply dot get. So create student, here we are passing the supplier here. If you carefully see inside this, it doesn't take anything, but it returns a student object. So let us see the real world usage patterns. Let us consider our scenario of school system. So student loading, lazy initialization. Here it doesn't take anything here and returns a list of students, find all. Student repository dot find all. And default object creation. Whenever the use cases of creating default object, it is useful. Supplier of student, default object. On the right hand side, it doesn't take anything but returns the object of student with some default values. Default 0. Here it is returning, it is a return type, guys. Supplier student. So for testing data generation, it is useful like this, and optional fallback. It is useful like this. So we have primitive specializations as well, just like we have seen in the case of consumer function interface. We have the primitive specializations here as well for supplier function interfaces. Instead of a supplier of integer, we can there exists int supplier for use case of mouse, and long supplier for use case of IDs, long double supplier for use case of fees. So let us see one example here. Here int supplier random marks is equal to, on the right hand side we have lambda. So here it doesn't take anything but it returns new random with some next int 100. So it is giving random marks. It is giving random marks. So how it works internally? Let us see how it works internally. When you write supplier of student s is equal to open parenthesis and close parenthesis followed by lambda operator new student, it actually converts lambda into functional interface. It converts lambda into this lambda into functional interface. It internally uses get method available in the supplier function interface. So it uses invoke dynamic. So it creates object only when get is called. When you create, when we invoke get method, then only it creates the object. So conceptually equivalent. So when we write to like this, then only what it does, anonymous internal class is created like this. Supplier of student s is equal to new supplier student, and it is an anonymous internal class. So let us see some common pitfalls associated with this supplier function interface. So using supplier unnecessarily like this, and heavy logic inside supplier like this. So confusing supplier with factory. Here are some common pitfalls associated with this supplier function interface. So the mental model is, think of supplier as a data generator on demand. Data, it is should be thinking supplier as a data generator on demand. So let us see the real world analogy associated with this supplier. So supplier is equal to school data provider. It generates a new object, fetch student list, and provide default values, create test data. So final takeaways. Supplier, it doesn't take anything but returns value of type T. Core method available inside the supplier function interface, get, and it is used for lazy loading, object creation, and for producing default values. And key benefit, deferred execution. It will be executed only when we invoke the method get. For a demonstration purposes, I am going to create a package with the name supplier underscore fi function interface. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a Pojo with the name student, and inside this Pojo class, what I will have, I'll have instance fields declared with private string name, private int marks, and I'll have double parameters constructor generated, and I'll also generate getter here. So done. Now let us create a demo class. Name supplier demo. So I will create a main method. Inside this main method, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do first create a supplier of student and my variable name is student supplier. Let us import this. It is available in java.util.function.supplier. So you shouldn't take anything, but you should return the object of student here. So new student with the name Ajay and marks 75. Right. Now we'll apply student supplier dot have method available inside the supplier is to get. It returns student. Done. Student of student is equal to So let us try to keep a breakpoint here. You see here, we have student F8, name marks, name is Ajay and marks is 75. So what it does, it actually returns the student object. It doesn't take anything, but returns the student object because we are mentioning inside the supplier the generic type as student. Now let us see the example for passing the supplier. For passing the supplier. Let us get another math class passing supplier demo. We have main method. So outside of this main method, what we're going to do, we're going to create a public static method with name create student. So we're passing supplier here, supplier of student supplier. So it should return student. Fine. Let us import this. Returns supplier dot get. Now just we will pass the supplier now. Now we are passing the supplier as an argument here. As a method argument. So new student and whose marks is 75. So we should return student object. Fine. And let us try to debug this. F8 so we have student with name Pranay, marks 75. Inside the student object we have name is 75, name is Pranay, marks are 75. Fine. So we have discussed that it is useful for default object creation, right? Let us see that in demo. I'll create the class with supplier demo 1. So main method supplier of student, so default student is equal to, it shouldn't take anything but return object of student with some default values. What are the default values? Default name is default and default marks are 0. So for initializing the default values, it is useful. So basically it is useful for default object creation. Default student dot get student. First, let us try to keep the deeper breakpoint here. Now, right. So, default name is default and marks are 0. And also for test data generation. In our school module is modern with for generating test data, it is useful. Let us see that in action. Supplier data generation demo. Supplier of student, let us have main method supplier of student random student is equal to, it shouldn't take anything but should return student object with some name test and new random marks. Let us import this java.util.random. Next, int standard. Get student. So it returns the student object with the name, test and marks 54. So basically we use it for some test data generation. Now let us see some primitive specializations inside this supplier interface. So primitive supplier demo. What we have inside this class, we'll have main method and int supplier random marks is equal to, it shouldn't take anything, but we return some random marks. Random, let's import this. It is available in java.util.random dot next int 100. So it is basically providing us with some random marks. So random marks dot get as int random marks. Int random marks. Now let's try to keep a breakpoint here and debug it. F8. So marks, random marks is providing us a 65. So as we said, it is internally creating an anonymous inner class for us. Let us see conceptual supplier, conceptual supplier demo. So what it actually does is, when we create a supplier of student is equal student supplier supply student. So it basically does like this. It basically does like this. It is creating anonymous inner class. So on top of this student supplier. Again, we can call get method. Return new student with some Krishna 50. So here we need to introduce a local variable. Fine. Now, fine. Now let us try to debug this. Now, wait. So the student name is Krishna and marks are 50. So what we have seen, it is basically creating an anonymous inner class. When we do like this, student, supplier of student, supplier is equal to new student Krishna is some 50. So when we write this statement, when write the statement like this, internally it is doing this much of thing for us. Fine. Now let us see some variations inside the supplier function interface. I'll create some class. I'll name it as supplier demo 2. After that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a main method. Inside the main method, I'm going to create a supplier of student, top supplier. Top supplier. It doesn't take anything, and that returns new student. Some Sita and marks are 100. Fine. Now again I will create another supplier with every supplier is equal to, shouldn't take anything, return student of me 50. Now topper supplier dot get student 1 and average supplier dot get student 2. Fine. Now let us try to debug this. What I am going to do, I am going to keep a breakpoint here and keep a breakpoint here itself and debug this. So F8, so student 1 name is Sita and marks are 100, and then F8 student 2 name is Padmini, marks are 50. Fine. With this we are done with demo as well as far as this supplier function interface goes. Thank you very much.